Let's be clear from the start. Kindness by itself is not enough to survive in this world. If you believe that being a decent person is enough to attain success, you are living a fantasy. The worst part is that, despite your refusal to accept it, you are aware of it. How often do you feel like people are stepping all over you? When you did the right thing, how many times have you been ignored or, worse, used instead of being praised? You have been taught that virtue is sufficient and that dignity and honesty are rewarded. However, the truth is different. The world does not reward the good. It rewards those who know how to play their cards correctly. And this is where Machiavelli comes in. Machiavelli recognized something that most people overlook. Human nature is greedy, fickle, and brutal when necessary. He made it abundantly evident in The Prince that goodwill without strategy is a trap, and that virtue without cunning is a weakness. Tell me now, how many times have you been caught in that trap? Consider individuals whom you revere and who have accomplished significant feats. Do you believe they went there with good intentions? Number. They got there because they knew how to walk in the shadows when necessary, and they recognized that morality is not an impediment, but rather a tool. The distinction between being a participant and being a pawn is the ability to discern when to reveal and when to conceal one's assets. Your goodness isn't the issue. You don't know how to defend yourself, which is the issue. Contrary to what you think, other people are not following the same rules as you. The world is full of predators dressed as friends, as well as opportunists who can recognize the innocent from a long distance. And you've been the ideal target without even recognizing it. This is where Machiavelli offers you an alternative: intelligent kindness. It's not about turning into a bad guy. It's not about going against your beliefs. It's about realizing that compassion requires a profound comprehension of reality. It involves developing the ability to read people, predict their motives, and choose when to put your faith in others and when to remain vigilant. Machiavelli said that it is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. What have you decided to do? Certainly you have elected to be regarded as harmless, to be adored, and to be accepted. But tell me, what did you get from that? Not respect, not power. What other people now know is that they may take advantage of you without facing any repercussions, because kindness without strength doesn't inspire admiration, it inspires pity. Avoid confusion. I am not advising you to cease your excellent behavior. I am advising you to acquire the ability to be decent without being naive. Recognize that the world rewards the astute, not the righteous. True virtue is not surrender. Rather, it is the capacity to strike a balance between ethics and pragmatism. Machiavelli taught that image is everything. It's not only about who you are, it's also about how other people see you that matters. They will treat you like a weak person if you appear weak. If you give the impression of being strong, they will treat you with respect. How many times have you allowed other people to disrespect you out of fear that you may lose their approval? How many times have you stayed silent to avoid conflict, only to realize that this makes you lose more than you gain? It is not about being ruthless. It is about being strategic. Knowing when to talk, when to act, when to retreat, and when to attack is crucial. When used properly, kindness is a good thing. However, it turns into your worst enemy if you don't deal with it. Many decent people make the mistake of assuming that honesty and integrity are highly prized in this world. It doesn't. The world values power security, the capacity to make difficult choices. Only when kindness is accompanied by authority is it respected. Being kind doesn't matter if you don't have power. Machiavelli would tell you not to be a lamb in a world of wolves, not to let your morality turn you into a slave. True virtue is not submission, it's intelligence. It's not about passively adapting, but about shaping the environment to your favor. Consider it. How long are you going to let the world to walk all over you? How long will you continue to suffer from your own ignorance? Not only am I not advising you to quit being good, but I am also advising you to begin being good in a manner that is beneficial to you. Equip yourself with the ability to operate in the shadows when it is necessary. Determine the appropriate time to smile and the appropriate time to expose your teeth. You may learn to play by the rules of the world while still remaining loyal to who you are, in spite of the fact that the world is not fair. Machiavelli didn't write The Prince to teach you to be evil. He wrote it to teach you how to survive. Now tell me, are you going to begin using actual intelligence, or will you continue to live under the delusion that compassion is sufficient? The sense of power is a concept that relatively few people comprehend. It's not enough to be strong. You have to appear strong. Intelligence alone is insufficient. You must project it. Reason being, how other people see you is more important than your actual circumstances in this life. Consider this. How often have you witnessed someone with incompetence surpass someone with talent? How many times have you seen a manipulator rise while a noble and hardworking person remains stuck? It's no accident. People don't follow what's right or good. They follow the person who is in charge, who is adept at controlling their image, who exudes authority, and who pretends to know everything even though they don't. And a lot of people fail here. They think that the truth will speak for itself and that their real skills will show. However, that is not how the world operates. Those who are able to sell their version of events are rewarded by the world, not those who are correct. Machiavelli was fully aware of this. It's not only about who you are, it's also about what other people think of you. It all comes down to perception. An insecure leader doesn't inspire confidence, even if they're the most prepared. Even if an employee is the best, they will never be promoted if they don't know how to stand out. Even if a person has a lot to offer, they will never be desired if they don't convey worth. Therefore, it's not only about being, it's also about mastering your own story, gaining self-control over your appearance to make the best possible impression in any circumstance. It is not about playing a trick on other people. Rather, it is about directing the attention of other people to what you want them to see. Consider this. In any social interaction, people don't perceive reality as it is. They perceive it through filters of assumptions, prejudices, and emotions. The question is, are you taking use of those filters, or are you allowing them work against you? If you're good but seem weak, they will treat you as weak. If you appear to be weak, they will crush you. If you're talented but seem insecure, you will be ignored. It's that simple. The art of perception is the distinguishing factor between those who are in control of their destiny and those who are under the control of others. This brings us to a more serious but essential topic: information control. Have you ever wondered why the most powerful always seem to know something that others don't? The question is, why does it appear that those who dominate the game always have an advantage? The reason for this is straightforward. They are aware of when to speak and when to keep quiet. Naive people think it's right to always share what they know and speak what they think, and they consider complete honesty to be a virtue. However, in practice, knowledge is power, and power cannot be relinquished without repercussions. Machiavelli said that a prince must know how to hide their true intentions, not because they should be a liar, but because in a world where everyone seeks an advantage, the one who reveals too much becomes vulnerable. Learn to exercise self-control over what you communicate, and make sure that you only express what is really required. Preserve a certain enigma. Make them question what you actually think, because you lose any potential strategic edge the instant you become totally predictable and others are able to foresee every move you make. The greatest people throughout history realized this, whether they were in business, politics, the arts, or any other sector. Strategic silence is as powerful as speech. Consider a person you respect and who has genuine influence. Are they someone who fully reveals themselves and says everything, or someone who has a secret card and constantly leaves something in the dark? The issue with many is that they mistake openness for weakness. They feel that they are being dishonest if they don't tell everything. It's not about lying, though. It's about controlling the flow of information to get what you want. Consider this. What is the number of times you have spoken excessively, only to experience unpleasant consequences? How many times have you revealed something that later backfired because you trusted the incorrect person? How many times have you given explanations that no one asked for just to justify yourself to people who didn't even deserve it? Speaking more does not give you power. Knowing when to speak and when to keep quiet gives you power. The important lesson that virtually no one uses is that the one who speaks the least and provides the fewest explanations is the one who is most respected. Why? Because silence creates uncertainty. Curiosity is sparked by uncertainty, and curiosity gives power. People would become disinterested in you if you just express your opinions without any filter. People will think you have to defend themselves if you constantly explain what you're doing. People will actually start listening to you if you talk only when absolutely required. Use words carefully and allow for interpretation. And here comes another fundamental concept: The art of unpredictability. It's easy to control people who are predictable. People will be able to predict you if you consistently behave in the same manner and exhibit consistent emotions, behaviors, and choices. They will be able to use you. However, you become dangerous when you are unpredictable and others are never sure what you will do next. And when you're dangerous, they respect you. No one knew this better than Machiavelli. A leader who can be as easily read as a book is a leader who is lacking in strength. However, a leader that remains in power is one who keeps a certain amount of mystery, adapts when needed, and never allows people to identify them. The question now is, do you want to continue being a book that anyone can read, control, and exploit? Or would you like to become a strategist, someone who manipulates their information, their image, and their unpredictable nature for their own gain? Because kindness without strategy is just an invitation to be devoured. The rules of the world don't change for you. Therefore, stop believing the rules you've been told to believe and start playing by the rules that actually exist. If you do it well, that is. For the first time, you will become one of the people who control the system rather than a victim of it if you put what truly works into practice. But now comes the most intriguing part: the art of strategic distancing. Many people think that being omnipresent, constantly present, and making an impression at all times is the secret to power. However, the truth is different. The one who is too available loses their value. Scarcity generates desire. Impact is produced by absence. Consider this. Why do some people seem to command greater respect simply by being there, while others, despite their best efforts, never seem to be able to establish authority? The difference lies in the perception of their value. According to Machiavelli, a prince should avoid becoming too accessible, not because they dislike his subjects, but because excessive familiarity weakens respect. People begin to take your presence, effort, and generosity for granted when you are always there and provide without expecting anything in return. Furthermore, this holds true for relationships, the workplace, and life in general, not simply politics or power. When you give too much, you become disposable. In situations where you are always available, you transform into a resource rather than a person of quality. Consider it. How many times have you given someone everything and they didn't seem to appreciate it? How many times have you supported others only to be disregarded when you needed help? It is human nature. It is not an accident. What is abundant is despised. What is scarce is valued. That's why you must learn to regulate your presence, to dose your attention, to manage the perception of your availability. Don't always answer right away. Don't always be accessible to everyone. Ensure that your absence is noticed. Make your presence weigh, because when you learn to disappear at the appropriate time, and when you learn to moderate your energy, people will begin looking for you. Learn to disappear at the correct moment. The problem is that most people fear disappearing. They are concerned that if they step back, they will be forgotten. However, the harsh reality is that if your sole means of being remembered is by consistently being present, then you were never truly valuable. The people who can handle stillness, who know when to retreat and when to reappear, are the ones who truly make an impression, not the ones who shout the loudest. Consider any notable historical figure. People who really matter aren't always around. They don't wear themselves out in every battle. They show up when it really matters, and everyone listens when they do. This leads us to still another important point: the use of emotional control as a means of gaining control. The majority of folks fail here. People think that being strong, aggressive, and imposing oneself with clenched fists and a loud voice is the foundation of control. However, complete control over emotions is the key to ultimate mastery, which Machiavelli knew better than anybody else. Because the person who loses control, behaves rashly, or is overcome by rage or anxiety, becomes weak, predictable, and manipulable. When was the last time you lost your temper with someone? Who possessed the power in that circumstance when you became enraged and responded without contemplation? You weren't the one. It was the other person, the one who threw you off balance, the one who provoked your reaction. Because your behaviors are dictated by the person who controls your emotions. The key is this: the one who is truly powerful is the one who cannot be provoked and who remains centered no matter what. Whether in a conversation, a negotiation, a relationship, or any other social interaction, it makes no difference, because the person who controls their emotions also controls how others perceive them. The one who maintains emotional control always prevails. Machiavelli made it plain that a prudent man must always act calculatingly and coldly. It's about not being a slave to your emotions, not about not feeling at all. Being a manipulable, reactive animal is not the point, and you become impenetrable if you use this properly. People may try to irritate you or provoke you, but they will lose control over you if they are unable to shift your center of gravity or predict your reaction. The fact is that those who truly control the game are not the strongest. Rather, they are the ones who maintain composure while everyone else crumbles. This brings us to the last important idea: the value of strategic patience. The majority of individuals desire results right now. They desire power, respect, and achievement immediately. But what Machiavelli taught, what the great players in history have applied time and time again, is that true power does not belong to those who act impulsively, but to those who know how to wait for the perfect moment to move. The world is filled of people who haste, act without thinking, and make decisions without regard for the long-term repercussions. However, people in charge of the game are skilled at waiting. They are skilled observers. They are capable of computation. Think of a hunter. Instead of shooting at the first movement, they watch, gauge distance, and wait for their target to be at the precise spot. They wait for the perfect opportunity to strike. This is the power game. The person who moves at the proper time often wins, not the one who moves first. According to Machiavelli, people who are able to adjust to changing conditions are more fortunate. Knowing when to speed up and when to slow down is more important than trying to sprint in every direction at once. Instincts rule the lives of average people. Strategic thinkers patiently await their chance. And now, I ask you, are you one of those who rush in without thinking, or are you one of those who waits for the right opportunity to strike with surgical precision? Because in this world, the smartest people, those who can manage perception, knowledge, distance, emotional control, and strategic patience, are the ones who hold the power, not the fastest. You will become a true player and cease being a victim of the game if you put all of this into practice. The world will continue to be cruel, but you will now be able to play by the rules that it has established. But here comes what truly makes the difference between those who just survive and those who dominate their destiny: the ability to become an anomaly in the system. Because you now understand, you now realize the importance of perception, the importance of compassion alone, the strength of emotional control, the superiority of strategic patience over impulsiveness, and the fact that scarcity makes you more valuable. But if you continue to behave like everyone else has up until now, what good is all of this? You need to become someone who does not conform to the customary norms if you want different results. This does not mean that you should breach the rules without any particular reason. Rather, it means that you should rewrite the script. The majority of people have the issue of thinking only within the constraints that have been placed upon them. They follow the same patterns. Their reaction is predictable. They operate within the boundaries of what is considered acceptable or anticipated. However, the people who dare to be unpredictable, to play with new rules, to do something no one expected, are the ones who really make an impression, who alter the game to their favor. And the big secret is this: people who follow the crowd will inevitably be eaten alive. If you do the same as the rest, you will get the same results as the rest, and that means mediocrity. In the unending passage of time, that entails becoming just another forgotten name. Breaking the mold is the only way to succeed. Take the initiative to behave differently. Who doesn't act the way other people think they should? Somebody always has a secret card in their possession, the one that no one can fully predict or understand. Because their word is not cheap, be the one who makes people listen when they talk. Something changes within of you when you realize this. You come to the realization that you were never weak. You were just not using the proper method. You come to the realization that others haven't been neglecting you because you're unworthy, but rather because you've never been able to effectively communicate your worth. However, you now know. And it's risky to know this, because once you put it into practice, there's no going back. The moment you start controlling your presence, your image, managing information as a tool, using silence as a weapon, you will start noticing how the world reacts differently to you. You will get the attention of those who previously ignored you. People who once undervalued you will start to question what has changed about you. Those who used to manipulate you will begin to fear making a move against you because you are no longer the same. Now, you are someone who understands how the game board works. And now comes the most essential decision. Are you going to put this into practice, or are you going to go back to being ignorant? Because action, not information, is what distinguishes those who succeed from those who lag behind. You can either continue to think about this information as a harmless yet intriguing concept, or you can begin putting it into practice. You can make your choice. But I warn you, if you go backward, if you keep acting as you did before, you will do so with the awareness that you're choosing to be invisible. You're opting to be disregarded. Or you can begin to change right now. Little motions, little experiments. In your encounters, use a little mystery. Refrain from talking too much. Instead of reacting passionately, respond calmly. When the time is right, retreat. Instead of hurrying without a plan, observe quietly. Little things that gradually alter how other people see you. Small actions that, when you least expect it, will have transformed you into someone who can no longer be ignored. Because those who know how to play the game are remembered by the world, not those who simply existed. Tell me, are you prepared to play it now? If you've made it this far, I want to know who really understood the message. Let's see how many of you actually grasp what it means to move with strategy by leaving the sentence, "Power is in the silence," in the comments. Additionally, please subscribe if this video caused you to think about something differently, or if it caused you to question something, because this is only the start. I'll see you in the upcoming video. Additionally, keep in mind that you are not another player in the system. Write the regulations yourself.